It's Gear Noir, the music gear show, with your host, Edwin Millheim, Chris Waters. Today's show, The Rising Fall. The stage is set. This is the first stop on your concert tour. But then you find out you must use the venue's microphones. Have you ever stepped up to the mic and stepped into someone else's mouth residue? You just don't know who's been barking into that mic, letting the spit fly, trying to deep throat it like $100 an hour escort. Introducing Big Bloomin' Mic Condoms with a little rubber from down under. The world's first stylish disposable microphone condoms for when you're sharing the spotlight, but not the saliva. Available in minty fresh and unidentified garage funk. Big Bloomin' Mic Condoms. Because that mic's been around, and sharing spit should be a choice. So, let's do this. Welcome to Gear Noir. This is episode 4. Not 44, but 4.
4.
Yes. All right. So, how's your week been going?
So far, so good.
We're here. We're alive.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Exactly.
So, all right. So, our the new album is actually coming out a little early. Scheduled
A lot early.
Yeah, a lot early. July
Yeah.
31st. More and more people that have heard it and heard several of the songs, of course.
Yeah.
Really dig it. So that's always exciting. That's always makes me happy. So July 31st. And at least until then, several songs from that album, Pixelated Hand Grenade to the Heart, OTAT 24/7 internet radio station, has exclusive plays of several of those songs.
Yeah.
So that they have the exclusive and have had the exclusive. So that's where you could hear some of the songs before the release, which is pretty bloody cool. Let's see, songs from Wandering Heart Come Home. One of the songs, Wandering Heart Come Home, was pretty cool. It came from a concept of, as you know, Berr in our real life job has to travel sometime to other areas, other states and such, and when she's gone, I kind of miss her and such, of course, because that's my Berr.
Miss her a lot.
Yeah, but what we'll often do is we'll take a premise like that, and we'll of course create a character and go, well, what if this happened? What if that? What if that?
Right.
So it kind of comes from that thought process of a woman that, for her job, she travels a lot and she loves her husband, but she really enjoys getting out and feeling that freedom of travel.
Yeah.
And so she's torn between that and being home with her guy and loving her husband. And she dreams of having that balance.
Yeah.
And making her life happy. And she does get that. There's a lot of hope in that. And if it seems like we're rambling more than usual, it's because we are. But anyway, because I gotta say, yes, before we move on to the heavy stuff, I have to say the new album, we did a limited run on CDs.
Yeah.
and we used Atomic Disc.
Nice.
And the CDs sound great. You and I just listened
Yeah.
to that CD to see how it sounded in our receiver system, and I'm really loving it.
Should I show them what?
Sure. If you want to. That's how it came out. It looks awesome, and the back matter looks great too. Atomic Disc, and even though we do not have
I'll open it.
sponsors, we will mention some places or businesses we use over the years, just because
Check it out.
we use them. Oh yeah,
Check
the
it out,
art.
y'all.
The art on there as well on the CD, which is pretty bloody cool. That being said, Dragon and Berr over the years have pretty much always geared up through Sweetwater Sound. We love the customer service. It's very personalized. They pretty much assign you somebody that is your person that will help you make orders, suggest things if you're looking for stuff, and they'll help you out. Sweetwater Sound, like I said, they're not a sponsor, but we use them and we gear up with them over the years.
Yeah.
So hey, Chris.
Yes.
I got to talk to you about the streaming networks in the world, streaming music services, where you're pretty much paying a fee and just having this huge gargantuan unlimited amount of music that you could listen to. So that's why artists and recording artists always feel like a drop in the ocean because, well, we are.
Yeah.
That being said, that has given rise to some very predatory practices from services that come to you and they offer promotions for more clicks and more streams and getting on more playlists. And a good many times, more times than not, these are kind of scams.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, I've even noticed, just based on some of my own experiences, a lot of times you can go by through some legit service or whatever, or some legit service that teaches you how to promote your music.
Yeah.
And like I went through one that was legit, and he had a system going where he went through even Google Ads.
Oh, okay.
And where you could purchase ads to go on your YouTube videos and stuff like that, to appear with certain channel distributors and stuff like that. Whenever they would click on one of those videos, your video would come up and stuff like that. And a lot of times, and of course you end up paying per click. And a lot of times what ends up happening, I come to find out that there are click farms out there.
So you got to be careful of that too.
So, you may see an increase in views or clicks or whatever for your video, but it wasn't from a legit source. It was from just people who, I guess, get paid to click.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to another thing. Also, any place that promises you X amount of streams, or I promise you're going to get on all of these playlists. If they're making promises, they're most likely a scam, in my opinion. In my opinion, because they can't make a promise like that because they don't know. Secondarily, it's a waste of your money.
Yeah.
Because even if they're using these bot farms that are basically playing your song and all of a sudden there's this huge jump, how satisfying is that? Because it's not real.
Right.
Personally, you know, I look at like, I'll drive more traffic lately to Apple. I'll always go Apple, Apple, Apple. Spotify, yeah, Spotify's okay. Don't get me wrong, but I've mostly been concentrating on Apple Music and telling people, yeah, check us out on Apple. And, you know, if we get 20, 30, 40 listens for the week, I'll take that because it's real. I'd rather take that than, oh my God, we've got 20,000 listens, and you know, and it was real. Not real. Yeah. Plus, the danger of that is that thankfully, because if you really think about it, some of these places are defrauding you as well, because they're creating these fake streams. They're screwing up the algorithms. And there is a real danger of those services just taking your stuff down, taking your song down, or taking your whole catalog down.
Yeah. Spotify is really, they've cracked down on this over the years.
I think rightfully so.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, you'll see videos all over YouTube, all over Reddit, all over places, all over Google. If you search for something about are these stream boosters legit and stuff like that, one of the first things they warn you about is make sure that it is legit before you do it, because if it's not, you run a risk of having your catalog removed especially from Spotify, because they can tell.
Well, jumping back into that, a while back, I'm not sure if it was Spotify itself or some other service,
right?
And correct me on the title of it. And again, we're not saying, oh, go out and get this or anything like that. But you have had, and I've had experience with, it's been a couple of years now, but I've just seen them put a newer version out where it's like the Indie Bible.
Yes.
And what it is they're not promising you anything, but they give you a list of places you can submit your music to.
Right.
Radio stations that are friendly to the indie artists.
Right.
And they give you tips and hints about how to promote yourself and what to do. See, they're not promising you anything, but they're giving you some tools for you as an artist to promote yourself and get out there. You pretty much got to do the work.
Right.
But they did a lot of the work for you by gathering all of this information.
Right.
And I found it pretty bloody useful.
Oh yeah.
As long as you put the work in.
Yeah. That's the main thing, is putting the work in, because a lot of times, especially if you're promoting yourself, you probably spend just as much time, if not more time, promoting yourself as you do creating your own music.
Yeah.
You know, especially these days, because these days I've noticed for myself, even with some of the stuff that caters to, for fans of, for instance.
Oh yeah.
Because some of my stuff is like, say, for fans of Glenn Danzig.
Yeah.
Or Misfits or something like that. But even at that, just how hard it is to get heard.
Yeah.
Even.
Well, yeah, that
has been. I've noticed that a lot.
Well, yeah. In the end, I know this sounds sacrilegious for those who want to try to make money at this. If you go into this thinking you're going to make gobs of money, you're in the wrong business. I love the creativity. I don't expect to make money. If we make a little pizza money, I'm happy. But going back into that, when you were talking about the ads that may pop up and say, hey, for fans of this band, you may want to check out this band. I just wanted to say that your side project, I think that suits you better than the I Misanthrope.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think I Misanthrope suits you as well as the Blood Song project. I think that style and what you present there, just you bring it, and it seems more you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so, and I think, and I notice through different stages of my life, creatively, that certain things tend to work better at certain times, and like right now, for instance, I'm working on the latest Moribundus Christus album.
Yes.
And the stuff Caesar and I are coming up with is just freaking phenomenally angry.
Okay.
Because let's say this, I mean, the state of the world and everything right now, it's just, and all that's happened over the past few months, it's just been, it's
the world's been crazy.
Yeah, the world's on fire.
Yes.
And so I'm basically been bringing to the table my feelings about this, and my feelings about, how everything on fire, and how, we would like to just take it back.
I don't, and I gotta say that we're doing this, a lot of times you'll do this, and I imagine you're like taking your idea, or where you're sending your idea, that's invoking your idea, and you're like wringing someone's neck. Yeah, I know, right? But that being said, let's go on to the next topic before we get too far, because it's another heavy topic. But before we do that, we're going to do something that is surprisingly enough not going to the bloopers, but I'm going to put you on the spot for something.
Okay.
But you were saying about you were focusing all your anger and your angst into the songs about different things that in the world upset you. Now, I want you to not take too long.
Okay.
Use stream of consciousness.
Okay.
And as in the style of Blood Song, or even Moribundus Christus.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do like a line where you're really angry about breaking your shoelace when you're trying to tie it.
Ah.
Okay. There's a challenge for you. Is it going to make it on this episode?
Wow.
Go for it.
Let me see.
Go for it.
Let me see.
Okay. No pressure. Come on.
All right.
The audience wants this. You want it, don't you?
Okay. So the frustration from when I break my shoelace
when you're trying to tie your shoe.
Okay. So motherfucker broke. I think I'm gonna choke.
Okay. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was fun putting you in the spot there, though.
Right.
You're looking like I'm gonna bloody get you for this. Oh my God. Okay, so on to one last topic before we introduce the band that we have today. The topic, unfortunately, is a little heavier. The topic is drugs in the music industry. Well, I got to say, it's so sad. It's devastating when you hear about another artist losing their lives over overdosing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're taking a bunch of different stuff, different items. It could be prescriptions, but then they accidentally on purpose take something extra from a street vendor maybe, and it reacts and it ultimately kills them.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. And the only time we hear about it is when they're more famous, unfortunately. I'm not going to mention any famous people because
most of you already know.
Yeah, I mean, and if we go down
most famous ones.
Yeah, if we go down a list of people, it's gonna I don't know. I think in a way, to me, it would be disrespectful because I'm not going into this subject simply to go, hey, we're talking about these famous people, please watch us. I'm talking about the tragedy of drugs in the music industry for all these musical creatives.
Yeah.
And the only time we're hearing about it really is when they're famous. So drugs are prevalent in the underground indie community as well sometimes. I think that dealers prey upon more famous artists because of several reasons. Okay?
Yeah.
Number one, a lot of pressure. So they're under pressure from the label, their management, to possibly get a record or song done in X amount of time. Their work hours trying to get said album or song done, there's a lot of pressure. So they may succumb to trying to get something that eases their tension, eases their mind.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you go down that rabbit hole and it often leads to darkness you don't want to be in. And dealers prey on that not only because of that, but because they have the money.
Right.
Okay. And unfortunately, I've actually gone to a record release parties in Tampa, Florida. I won't mention who. Where unfortunately there was stuff prevalent there as well. So unfortunately, they take that whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing a little too far.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's an uncomfortable thing to talk about, but I think it's something that should be talked about.
And I think too that it's good that you mentioned pressure on the artists.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. And because when you talk about the pressure put on them from the labels to put more albums out, to tour, to constantly, and when I'm saying tour, I'm not talking about just these little small tours. I'm talking about they won't be home for a year.
Yeah,
more,
yeah.
Or something like that. So think of yourself, putting yourself in their shoes. If you're not home for a year, having to live out on the road, you really don't have much control over your health or anything either. And then on top of that, you're probably most likely going to self-medicate from, and of course the dealers are actually looking for that excuse to sell to you, like, hey, you're dealing with a lot of pressure, I can help take the edge off or something. So, and one thing too, my kids have been big into K-pop, and K-pop artists are held to such a high standard.
Yes.
That many of them, I don't know so much about the drug use there, but the suicide rate among K-pop artists is extremely high.
Yeah.
And for instance, one of the most famous K-pop bands, SHINee, and my oldest was devastated, cried for days and days, and still crying over it half the time. When Jonghyun killed himself, and SHINee's one of the most famous K-pop bands ever. They've been around since I think 2008, 2009. And when that happened, a lot of people are very shocked when something like that happens. But when they see how much pressure they're put under, so it's a good thing that you brought up the pressure.
Yeah. It's totally nuts
Something
because
you don't think about.
Yeah, because the record label or company that you may be under, maybe they're putting out all this money to promote you or advance you, and you're like spending it and such. But the problem with that is it's an advance. They expect a lot coming back. They expect some money back. So they could be easily, you're still a couple million short. So we need you to go on this huge tour.
Right.
That's why I said even for our weirdness, we've been tentatively offered up to 3 million. And I'm like, I am not.
Gotta be careful with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's predatory in itself.
Yeah, that in itself is tempting. It could be tempting for someone that's like, all they see is the zeros, all they see is the money. But they pretty much own you.
It's a loan.
Yeah, it's a loan. They pretty much own you.
Yeah, it's a loan. They own you.
That and 3 million, that's freaking forever for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's no way.
Yeah. I mean, it'd take probably 30 years to pay that off at least, and that's if you're working 24/7.
Yeah, and for us right now, we love the creativity. We love putting our stuff together.
Right.
I love hearing what you come up with when we send you stuff. Hey, add your bass to this or add this to that and such. For us right now, it's fun and exciting, and we love it. But I don't know if I want to say it's on the side, because you know how I'm constantly writing all the time.
Yeah.
So it's a happy place for me right now.
Yeah.
And being under someone's thumb financially to produce, and they own everything, that wouldn't be fun for me. That would be some pressure you don't want.
Right. And then on top of that, since they own your stuff, if you ever are like, okay, I've got to get out from under this person, all the lawsuits and stuff like that just to get your stuff.
Yes.
That you wrote, that you should own. I mean, I've seen this happen a lot. Like
over the years.
Glenn Danzig, for instance, I think him and Rick Rubin have had it out in court over rights to the first 4 albums. And which is his most celebrated work of his solo career. But
jumping back to the pressures and the drug use and stuff, a lot of times what a lot of people will think is going like, oh man, where were their friends and such. If somebody is hooked on drugs, and believe me, if they're buying drugs, they're hooked, whether they're going to admit it to themselves or not. They're just going to do it.
Yeah.
Friends can try to intervene, but it depends on how rigorously. And in the end, if somebody doesn't want to get off drugs, nothing you're going to do is going to get them off drugs.
Right.
Unfortunately.
And there's another thing that is has been kind of infiltrating the drug use in the industry as well. The fact that a lot of drugs nowadays are laced with fentanyl.
Oh yeah.
And that's been killing some of them before they even really get addicted.
Yeah, and that's kind of weird because they'll put enough in it to really screw
It doesn't
your
take
day.
much.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
Doesn't take much at all.
That's a recipe for total disaster because like they're gonna cut it with this to give them a little extra high, but here's the problem: one wrong measurement and you're screwed.
Yeah.
Taking double for something you didn't know had extra boom to it, you're screwed. So something let me tell you, if you're having problems with drug use, think about it. Please think about it. Because your loved ones, the people that you see every day, your bandmates, your friends, your family, they want you around. And I know you want to be around. I know that it's probably really difficult to think about. Maybe you're just blowing it off because you can handle it. Well, let me tell you something. No, you can't. You can handle it until you don't. And then it may be too late.
Yeah.
If you want to get off of it, talk to someone. See someone.
Plenty of people out there, even professionally.
Yeah.
Or, well, even free.
Yes.
That would be glad to help you out. I mean, there's all kinds of toll-free numbers to call if you've got issues with either drugs or suicide.
Yeah.
I mean, so we might get a trigger on this video. So we probably need to put a trigger warning in it.
Yes.
Just to be on the safe side.
Well, this is going to be a mature audience video.
Okay.
So unfortunately,
okay, that's fine.
Because we flew a few F-bombs and some guests are going to start dropping F-bombs. So some of our videos may be mature audience only. So don't be surprised if you have to log in to your account to say, hey, I'm old enough to say F-bombs. Anyway, I know it was a heavy subject, but I don't know. I felt we really had to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's our thoughts and our feelings and such. And if it helps anyone, even though we rambled a lot, if it helps someone, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because people are there for you. We want to hear your creativity. We want to hear your stuff down the line. We want to hear your stuff in the future. And we won't be if you're not here to do it.
Right.
That being said, let's reel it back in. Try to get into things and hopefully we won't be too heavy now because guess who our guests are now for this show?
Who's that?
Episode 4.
Episode 4.
Yes. Very bad.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay.
And introduce the rising fall right here, right now.
Gear Noir.
Gear Noir.
Hey, we're the Rising Fall from Chicago, and I'm John DiFiore, the drummer.
I'm Kim Ladd, aka KK, and I'm the lead vocalist and keyboard player.
I'm Dimitri Kantos, bass player.
Steve Robus, guitar player.
By the time this episode releases, your 5-song EP Cycles will be out. How stoked is everyone for this? Guys?
We are very excited.
It comes out May 14th, and we've already released 4 singles off of the EP, and a 5th song will only be released on the EP, and it's called Becoming My Everything.
And it'll be available Apple, Spotify, YouTube. So it's going to be out there, and we're really looking forward and really proud of it as well.
Tell us the significance of the album title.
So the album title comes from searching the rise and fall theory and knowing that everything has an eventual start and eventual end. And so that's just kind of a life cycle of everything. So we shortened it to cycles.
Kim, is there a go-to keyboard that you use and why that one? I have a Casio 88 key. It's weighted and it mimics a piano perfectly. That I would love to bring on gigs. However, this is the keyboard that I usually bring on stage. It's only about 10 pounds, 61 keys. It's much smaller because the boys all have their toys and doesn't leave me a lot of room sometimes to fit on stage, so I bring something much smaller. It is a Yamaha Portatone EZ30. It released in 2001, so it's quite old. Looks like a spaceship. I did get this courtesy of Dimitri, our bass player's aunt, who had this keyboard before. It has over 100 songs it plays by itself, and it also has about 200 different voice samples. I only use 2 of them. One of them, piano. Or strings. However, I did end up using this. Bell sound for Hell on My Chest. I also have this little cheat sheet that says I need to turn off the talking before we perform because it has a creepy little voice that intermittently comes on once in a while if you're not playing it.
Check this out. Follow the light.
And we don't really want to hear that on stage while we're in the middle of a song.
Go.
Do each of you have a go-to mic for live shows versus recording? And what are they? And why do you use those mics? Well, I have this Shure Beta 57A that I like for live shows because it's a mic that you have to be right on it to hear. And I like to move my arms around a lot in live shows so it doesn't pick up any of the background noise while I'm performing. The question is, Kim, you have some incredible vocals at times, a growl of power, ready to explode. Woo. What warm-up and or vocal exercises do you swear by? Well, first off, I do a vocal routine every single time before we play a show, usually about 30 minutes of vocals. I try to drink as much water as I can the day of the show. I really suck at getting my hydration in. But I do have a whole entire library of vocal warm-up exercises that I like, that I found on YouTube. And probably my favorite one to listen to is by Jacob's Vocal Academy, because he doesn't do any of the extraneous talk in between. He just gives me the exercises. So I feel like it's more efficient vocal warm-up. And here's an example of some of the vocal exercises that I have to do.
Now, Mommy made me mash my M&Ms.
Mommy made me mash my M&Ms. Mommy made me mash my M&Ms. So that one's fun. There's also a whole slew of other vocal exercises in there, such as the hum, the ahs, ah. So I generally start lower. I do have more of an alto range, and then I try to increase the range the more I warm up. But that's it. Nothing special than that, but I try to do them 15 to 40 minutes 3 times a week. Sometimes I'm lazy and I don't, but that's my routine. But there's also a whole slew of different ones, such as the hums, the really nasally one, nee.
Hey y'all, this is Steve from The Rising Fall, and we're gonna break down my gear. Alright, so this is my pedal board. Pretty simple because all the other effects I usually program through this Kemper. But I've got this whammy pedal, very handy for throwing things up an octave or two or down an octave or two. or you can harmonize it if you wish. But eventually when I get some time, I will program that through the Kemper. Next we have a wah. I have the Dime CFH wah, which is amazing. This little gadget here is called a MIDI mouse, and this is pretty badass when I want to control that whammy pedal, so that way I can switch it whenever I want. So if I don't have something I can use with this Kemper to change up the harmonies or whatnot, I can use that MIDI mouse to do harmonies on this whammy pedal. And last but not least, I have a loop pedal, which we do some samples on. Eventually, who knows, maybe we won't need to do as many samples, or we'll have somebody else that'll control them for us. But that is my pedal board, and next we'll go live. So when I can, I go with a full stack. I got two Benz cabs. One is right down here. This is the G-Flex ported cab. It's got holes on the bottom, pushes out a little bit more bass. Up on the top, it's another Benz. This is a non-ported cab. I feel they sound very well together. Next, we're going to take a look at here. This is the gear. Okay, we'll go this way. All right, so this is what I'm running right now. I got one of these Shure wireless systems that I try to scan frequencies every time I go to a new place. Next, we're going to look at this Furman. It is a power conditioner. Not exactly sure what it does, but I've heard it does pretty good things. I got a Korg rack mounted tuner just in case I need to tune that way, but it also does serve as a mute when I'm switching out guitars. Next, this is the creme de la creme. Just recently purchased a Kemper unit within the last year. I'll go through some of my patches tomorrow. And then lastly but not least, I have a Crown power amp that I use. I use the unpowered Kemper, and I throw it through a Crown power amp just to kind of give it some power. A little bit of a rack case or shelf there just in case. But that is kind of what I use. Another amp I do have inside of there is a surprise. Maybe someday I'll bring that out, but it's a tube amp that I tend to not really like spending $400 or $500 every time it needs retubing because it burns it hot. All right, so next step is, what does this sound like? All right, so check it out. Here is the gear plugged in. Got a Crown XLS 1002 power amp. I think it's 375 watts aside. I will kind of take you through my channels here. This is a Kemper. This is what I use for Rising Fall. This is a clean tone. And then I have like a semi-dirty tone here. And then I've got a couple effects on here. And then the lead channel. Fix it a little bit. A little bit of whammy pedal every once in a while. Wah-wah pedal. Okay, so question here is, Steve, what's your approach to balancing technical precision with raw energy when coming up with guitar parts in a song? I guess to try not to have as much technical precision so I don't mess it up, But really what I do is I just kind of play around. I do a lot of improvisation when I'm either coming up with riffs or if I'm coming up with melodic lines for a solo. But overall, I just kind of like try to play within my ability, try to push myself, and try to go through things, practice a little bit more once in a while than I actually do. There's times where I do get to practice a lot more, and then when I do, I just kind of warm up. I have a few exercises that in the future I'll probably divulge. It's no big secret. It's nothing fancy. It's just something to get my fingers moving before shows and before I kind of get to a point where I'm warmed up and my technical ability can come through a little bit more. But overall, just I want at least the rhythms for the songs to have groove, to have a certain hook in mind, a certain idea that repeats in your head that you want to hear it over and over and over and over. And I try not to overplay that, so you want to listen to the song over and over and over. Another thing I kind of like doing is just trying to stay out of the way of the vocals for sure, because at a younger age I was always like, it's got to be all guitar, but you know what? No, it don't. Honestly, the majority of the population is probably not a guitar player, although they might hear a few parts of like, man, that's cool. But for the most part, I just try to keep it simple and simple enough. But after you've been playing for 5, 10, 20, 30 years, it kind of simple is relative to what you're capable of. Hope that makes sense. Hope that answers the question. Question is do I have a go-to mic for live settings? I really don't. Generally, if I bring my own vocal microphone, because I do a lot of backups, I have a Shure SM58 Beta that I've had for a while that I'll use. But normally, for me, for backups, it's whatever. For guitar mic, generally, if I'm miking the cab, generally the standard SM57, Shure. Otherwise, if I've actually played some shows where they've both taken the Kemper directly and mic'd it, and I've heard that I got a lot of compliments on my tone that night. So I want to say that if I had my choice, I would probably go 2 full stacks and mic at least 1 or 2 of the cabs, take direct out of the Kemper. Maybe I'll eventually start doing stereo outputs out of the Kemper. I don't know. It all depends on what the future holds, where I'm playing, whatever. But quite honestly, amp, I'll do whatever. So, all right. Hope that answers.
Greetings. Hey, I'm Dimitri, bass player for the Rising Fall, and I'm going to show you some of my gear today. So let's take a look, shall we? Okay, so let's start out here at the top. This is a Shure wireless system. I bought this a few months ago. I hate cords, and had a wireless unit many years ago, kind of died out on me, so kind of back in the game here with the wireless system, which I'm pretty happy about. Moving along, this is a David Nordchow amplification 800 head. My buddy used to work for them. Sold me this one. It's great. It's really light, powerful, can run multiple cabinets, and going to be using it primarily now, I think, for live shows and whatnot. So looking forward to busting this bad boy out. Below that, I have another head that I've had since 97. Trace Elliott, bought it at a Trace Elliott dealer. I think it was up in Lombard, Illinois. Thing's a beast. I love it. UK made, powerful, heavy duty. Really have had no issues with it. I keep that as kind of a backup, but I still use it live once in a while. So these are primarily my main 2 heads. I have 4 heads. I'm trying to get rid of the other 2, and I don't know how I compiled all this, but I did somehow. And I hate gear and I hate cords. Moving along, I got a DNA, another David Nordchow. It's a 112. It's got a port and a small tweeter in there. Bought that one off my buddy too. So got that connected to the DNA 800 head. Pretty powerful by itself, but I also use a 15-inch SWR cabinet that it's at rehearsal right now, but I'm going to try and use that one and this DNA one live. Moving along, another piece of the puzzle. Now this Trace Elliott, this 410 here, I bought this along with the head back in 97. I've been using this thing for, well, the past 20, can't do the math. 25 years, 27, 28, whatever. Get a calculator figured out. But this thing's a beast. It weighs a ton, but it's never failed me. 410, it's got 2 ports, it's got a horn. Again, UK made. I love this Trace Elliott. So that's that for cabinets and for the heads. All right, so now we move to the back of the heads. There's my DNA. Of course, now with technology changing, they have special cables. This is called a speak-on. There's 2 ports right there. Older cabinets do not have speak-on. I can't even get that back in. This is how ridiculous it is. But I got a 1/4 inch here running into my Trace Elliott, but the speak-on goes right into the DNA cabinet right there. That's about 450 watt cab. Also, what I do is I also mark for the loop effects here for the in and out. I got a tape with a dot on there that goes, I know that this is gonna go directly into this. So I'm not fumbling at shows, which I've done in the past. Tried to mistake proof this. So we're not screwing around. There's the other output there that goes directly underneath. You see how that works, boys and girls? It's called mistake proofing. Yeah, so basically I've got the DNA head running both cabinets right now. I'm gonna have the DNA cab running that SWR. That's got a 1/4 inch out in the back. So I'm gonna try that. We got a show coming up. I'm gonna do that one as well. So that's the back, and obviously the wireless is right there. Nothing fancy, but yeah, that's about it. Moving on to the pedals. I also don't like pedals, but I use them. So we'll start off with the standard chromatic tuner that everybody has somehow or had in some way, shape, or form. Here's a compressor here. Use that. I got compression on the Trace Elliott head, but I use this anyway, just to give it a little bit more punch. Bought this, don't know why, but started to incorporate it in a couple songs. Actually using the fuzz here during live, just to give it a little bit more grit, a little more dirty sound. But yeah, mostly don't really use this except for about one song. Maybe I'll try and incorporate it a little more. Bass overdrive pedal, had that for a long time. Used that for 1 or 2 songs. Still trying to figure it out. I've only had it for about 30 years. Here's a noise suppressor. Bought this just to have it. It's expensive, but it fits, and sometimes I use it kind of get that distortion cut in a live performance when I'm not playing. Bass chorus, I love this pedal actually. Use this for quite a few songs, for intros, melodic parts. Yeah, it's probably the pedal that I like the most. If I had to use one, definitely the chorus pedal. And of course the tuner, because you want to stay in tune. And moving over here, I got a Mark bass. This is kind of a boost. I always have this going just to give it a little bit more oomph. Volume-wise, really like this one as well. So yeah, that's about it. And you can see the hornet's nest of chords and all this other crap. Like I said, hate cables, hate chords, but here it is. All right, and here's the bass. This is a Yamaha Attitude Limited. It is a Billy Sheehan model bass. I cannot play like Billy Sheehan, just a little disclaimer there. But I've had this bass for 25 years at least. Bought it used at a music shop near my house where I grew up, and love this bass. The neck, it's got a little bit of a fatter neck, which is great. The action is perfect. There's some scalloped frets if you wanted to learn how to play like Yngwie Malmsteen, but that's just kind of standard on the bass. Doesn't help me at all. But anyway, look at this. So we got 2 inputs there to run stereo. And since I'm not going to have multiple rigs, I had to get this bass kind of modified a little bit, because this input here is for that pickup. This input here is for this pickup. So I had a toggle switch put in to blend. So now, no matter what input you plug into, you're still going to get the same sound. The toggle switch here, if you keep it in the middle, blends both of the pickups. If you move it here, it's for this one. You move it down here, it's for this one. So this one here is a little bit more of a bassier low end type of a pickup. So I keep it usually in the middle or switch it back to this pickup depending on the song and what kind of tone I'm going for. This right here, I wanted that removed when I got the toggle switch put in, but that didn't happen, so now it's just decoration and it gets in the way. And moving up to the back of the neck, a little added bonus. I actually had Billy Sheehan sign this in 2002 when I saw him play with Niacin at Martyrs in Chicago. Met him, great guy, one of the greatest guys I've ever met from like a professional musician standpoint. So he was really cool. And then this here is the hip shot, drops from an E to a D, just a flip. And used that many times in the past and still use it today. So kind of it's a standard stock on the bass that when I got it. I actually have another Yamaha Attitude bass, it's black with the pearl pick guard. That's at the jam spot. But this is my main bass that I play out and I love it and it sounds great, so that's about it.
Dimitri, have you ever written any bass riffs or melodies that started entire songs?
Yes. One of the songs that we have is called If Only, that we just went into the studio, and our drummer actually came up with an intro with this progression, and we worked on the guitar and bass, and it's kind of it's a melodic song, so I incorporated some tapping in the intro, which is one of my influences, Stu Ham, and it's a very Stu Ham-like progression and bass line, so you're gonna see that right now. We also have another song called Artificial Degeneration, and I kind of came up with a chord progression that I thought would have been cool for like a guitar intro, but after jamming it and reworking it at the rehearsal spot, it basically came down to our drummer doing a drum intro first, and then I joined in on the bass, and it's kind of the progression is kind of based off what the chorus is, and the intro to that song is like this.
Dimitri, what is your approach to crafting bass lines?
So it kind of depends on the feel of the song when we are jamming and just trying to figure out certain parts, certain ways, seeing where the song is going. That's how I'll kind of come up with the bass line and see what fits. Sometimes it comes really quick. Other times you got to kind of work on it and maybe write it out a little bit. One of the songs we had it's called Hell on My Chest, and the bridge section going into the solo, thought it'd be cool to kind of put like an old school feel into it, and kind of came up with a part like this, which the guitar is double, and then Steve goes into his solo, but it's kind of cool, it's kind of old school, it's like this. You can hear the old school influence there. Other bass lines, you saw that with Only has got more of a melodic tapping. I'll kind of just fool around sometimes and see what I come up with. And then other times, sometimes a riff or something will come in my head, so I'll try and work that out, but it all depends on how the song is and the structure of the song and what fits the song. And sometimes it's better to have maybe guitar taking over the song and the bass laying low, or sometimes it's kind of cool to go a little crazy, like or something like that. So it just all kind of depends on how the feel is.
Yo, this is John DiFiore, drummer from the Rising Fall, and I'm here to show you my drum setup. All right, so we're gonna go quickly and from left to right. I have my Sabian AAX series hi-hats. I have my Wuhan crash also on my left side. I have another Zildjian crash here, a Meinl crash cymbal on my right side, a Meinl trash crash on my far right, a Zildjian hybrid crash, ride, and the creme de la creme of all my cymbals, my Peisty ride cymbal, which I absolutely love. And to top it all off, can't play without sticks, and my sticks are 5A Dip by Zildjian. Which drummers inspired your style the most, and how have they shaped your approach? Well, I would say that the drummers that have inspired me the most are, I would start with John Bonham from Led Zeppelin. What he was able to do with his triplets on using one kick pedal was just amazing. So the first time that I heard Good Times, Bad Times by Led Zeppelin, I was just like, how did that guy do that? Does he have a double kick? And I found out that he doesn't. So I was really inspired by that, and I learned how to emulate the triplets that he did on one single kick pretty early on when I was about 15 or 16 years old. He also played like he had 5-pound weights attached to his hands when he played. So he was just so unique. He played heavy. It was a very heavy style of playing, but he didn't thrash or bash. So that's what I really, really enjoyed about John Bonham. I would say also on that list is Abe Cunningham from Deftones. Also another drummer that plays Deftones they kind of fall into that metal category, although they're more, I guess they would be classified as new metal. But either way, they're one of my favorite bands in the world, and he's just an unbelievably excellent drummer. He does a lot of really interesting stuff with his ghost notes and drags on the snare drum, and he has a jazz influence just like I do. So watching him play was really, really inspirational for me. I would also say two other drummers that really inspired me. Number one would be Barrett Deems, and a lot of people don't know who this guy is or was, but I saw him when he was 84 years old at the Glendora House in Chicago Ridge, Illinois, in the south suburbs of Chicago. And he was a big band drummer that came up with Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich and Art Blakey and Max Roach and all the great jazz drummers. And he wasn't really well known like they were. What he was doing was just amazing, especially at the age that I saw him at. But he didn't get the notoriety that the other drummers got, but he was just an amazing big band jazz drummer. And I got to see him 2 times actually before he passed away. But he played all the way up until the time that he died. I believe he was 88 or 89. So he was just an amazing drummer, hugely inspirational for me. And then I will also round out that list with Darren Nelson, who he was my local inspiration. So I kind of studied under him. I played in the college jazz band when I was 14. I started playing when I was 14 in the college jazz band, and he was, I believe he was 4 or 5 years older than me. So just watching him, I learned how to play jazz, and I learned an appreciation for jazz, and that's really what I was early in my drumming career, was a jazz drummer. And then influence has really been there the whole time for me. You can hear it in my playing. I do a lot of stuff that has a heavy jazz influence, and that really does come from Darren Nelson. And he's in Park Forest, Illinois, still a drummer, still plays. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he was the guy who, he was here locally. I worked with him. I studied under him just by playing in the jazz band with him, but he showed me a lot. I tried to emulate him. I was never able to emulate his style because, I mean, he's really, really unique, very fluid. Also, he just played very lightly, and it was just beautiful to watch him play. And so Darren Nelson from Park Forest is another inspirational drummer for me. And then the second question. How has the evolution of drum technology impacted your playing or setup? This is pretty interesting because I think for me, for a long time, technology didn't really have an effect on my playing. I also didn't play for a while. I had a car accident where I wasn't able to play for about 5 or 6 years physically. And mentally, but I got back to a point where I started playing again. That's really where technology started stepping in. And I was watching drummers on social media platforms like Instagram, and that's really where I got hooked. Found a lot of drummers where I was just like, man, people are doing stuff that's so amazing right now. And early on, the technology worked in my favor. The more I got into it and the more drummers that I started following, Unfortunately, I think a lot of people do this as well. I started comparing myself a little bit, and when I did that, I would get into trouble, just because you start comparing yourself and you look at these other drummers and you say, I can't do that, or I'll never be able to do that. But lately, over the last couple years, I've gotten to a really good place where I'm able to watch these drummers, watch what they're doing, study what they're doing, and just have an appreciation for it, and follow them and praise them. And I don't get down on myself. I'm really not trying to copycat anybody at this point. I'm really looking at other drummers for inspiration. But I'm not looking at them like I want to be able to do what they're doing. I really just want to make my own style and play the way that I want to play. That fits for this band, The Rising Fall. That's really it. I mean, my job as a drummer is to keep the time, is to keep the beat for the rest of the band. That's really at the core what the drummer's supposed to do. And I don't lose sight of that anymore. I realize that's my job, and that's first and foremost before everything.
We're going to be so loose and wild on this one, I don't know. So that was really a disturbing laugh. What the hell was that? Holy fuck. Okay. All right. You're like auditioning to be the witch in Wizard of Oz or something. I don't know. Okay. So, let's do this.
All right.
We will take that out.